Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Interlagos for the penultimate round of PRL Season 9. And that's not the ideal way to take the Senna S in qualifying.
That's the fastest lap so far. Well done.
Wasn't a great banker, honestly.
We've dropped P2.
And there you see Dani improving. Obviously my PB is a 109.0, so I'm not really too happy with that lap that I put in. Maznat also goes on to beat it, so we're now down to third. I had one more opportunity, but the retired car of Dani was right on the braking point, so I couldn't really see where I was braking and lost my lap. So P3 it would be 7/100ths off pole, and that would have been my third pole in a row, so a little bit disappointing. However, championship is won, so it doesn't matter too much. We're just going for pride here. Equal with wins with dreglar at 7 each, so one of us could win here and take that record going into the last round. But Dani down the inside of Maznat rather impressively at turn 1, possibly surprising him there. He's not usually so aggressive, but having the inside line at Interlagos, pretty much an easy move. I'm not sure why pole is on the right. I also go for a surprising move on Maznat. There's no contact until the exit. Apologise for drifting over if I did, but neither of us were affected. I've soon moved over to defend the position, as Maznat is no slouch. I was kind of expecting some form of manoeuvre, but none came. Again, very fast in a straight line Maznat was.
Okay, entering lap 3 now. DRS has been enabled.
We had dreglar following us as well, and he gets through on Maznat. Not entirely sure what happened to Maznat there. He may have got too close to me and tried to avoid losing part of his wing. But dreglar pitted early, so I guess he did lose part of his wing at some stage. And then it was the top 3 once again, Dani, me and Maznat. And through the Senna SS that time he lost a lot of ground, as you can see on the map. But losing more ground would be Dani soon after. Really unfortunate loss to rear, possibly because she was carrying an ankle injury, and I think that putting pressure on for extended periods on the right ankle really difficult for her. Now Craig here was kind enough to send in some footage, and he saw the aftermath of that incident. Dani down to P3, so not a complete loss at this stage, can still salvage a podium. Unfortunately, she did have a little bit of damage, was planning to come in this lap though, and it is a 2-stop, so it's not really the end of the world in terms of strategy, but what was, Prix got through, and unfortunately Bozza behind got caught out and spun Dani. He would wait up though, so the redress definitely occurred. Maznat pitted it earlier than I did. Some lap traffic to deal with, grunting tortoise getting well out of the way though, thank you for that. We covered Maznat, except he went onto a different compound and was still able to undercut us though. Undercut very powerful around here. Both of us should be on a 2-stop though, because it's very difficult to get to the end that early on softs, I'd say, from Maznat's perspective. We caught up fairly soon. Obviously our tyres were a softer compound and we should have had a pace advantage at some stage. Getting past wasn't that easy though. It did seem that he was running less downforce than I was, and it was making it very difficult to get past on the straights. Tried to get a nice line through there, but instead got myself a warning, and I'd be sitting on 2 at this stage, having got one at that exact corner earlier in the race as well. And as you can see, I'm right in the slipstream with DRS open, and I'm not actually closing at all. So a pass might have to come in the middle sector, which is where I seem to be quite strong in comparison to the Red Bull. You can see here a bit of a corner cut there, perhaps from Maznat. And then very sideways, I got into the rear of him. I wasn't going to pass him here, I was just waiting for him to come through, but he was actually off the track at the time, so I then continued. And he retired, later saying that he had some issues with his controller. So fair play for retiring and making sure there's no hazard for anyone else.
We've been awarded a time penalty. We'll go against our finishing time at the end of the race.
A penalty because I really couldn't see the apex going through Tortoise's car. I got some fastest lap and extended my gap. Went in for my final pit stop at the end of lap 23.
Release.
In the pits you can see Craig, who had briefly taken the lead, and I was at the fastest lap on the way to victory. Now Craig would come out right next to dreglar in the battle for P2, and I think Craig, I'm not sure, has he ever had a podium yet? But he is certainly within a chance of it. Down the inside, very aggressive move, minimal contact if there was any. Dreglar, of course, a 7-time race winner, would be keen to keep this position, but once again down the inside goes Craig, and it looks like it was a fairly decent move, although there was contact there, and Craig was all the way to the outside. So either lag or something sinister happening there to Dreglar, and he would end up leaving the session, unfortunately. So Dani Rocks would claim the fastest lap as some sort of reprieve for the horrendous luck she's had. Slightly her fault in this scenario, but throughout the season, so many fourth places through just sheer bad luck, connection issues, and even a purposeful takeout at Monaco. But we have claimed victory there, even with that penalty, and that would be our 8th victory of the season. Could we potentially make it 9 in Abu Dhabi? We'll look forward to seeing in just 1 week's time. I've been Jacko. See you then.